What's going on, everybody? I'm Matt Harmon. Welcome to the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast, and it is a hell of a day to talk ball. We've got the full Week 7 preview show with Justin Boone, the six-pack of questions, the hurry-up offense, literally no one's games of the week, everything you need to know about Week 7. We've got all that coming up. But first, we got to talk Thursday Night Football, the solo recap, as always here, and oh, baby, what a freaking football game that was. The Unc Bowl, the Icy Hot Bowl, whatever you want to call it, the 81-year-old combined age of the quarterbacks, they got together and lit off some damn fireworks on Thursday night. We got Bengals 33, we got Steelers 31. What freaking year is this? We've got 7 combined touchdown passes between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. Highest combined passing touchdown or 40-year-old matchup between quarterbacks. 7 with Rodgers and Flacco. Blew away that old Drew Brees, Tom Brady matchup Nate and I were talking about with 4. Give me a break. 7 touchdowns. Unbelievable. There's so much to talk about in this game. There is so much to cover. As always, we will start with the winning team, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll be honest with you guys, hand up. When they made the trade for Joe Flacco, I was kind of, all right. I mean, it's probably better than, Jameis Winston or Russ or something. Maybe it can be better than that. It's not going to have the same fantasy juice, I guess, but maybe it could be better. Probably not going to move the needle for the Bengals. Just wasn't all excited about it. Now, as we're showing on the screen here, I think we got to pitch like a Kitchen Nightmares style show with Joe Flacco, where it just every single season, if you're not familiar with Kitchen Nightmares, where Gordon Ramsay goes around to these disaster class restaurants. Great show, awesome show, one of my favorite shows, by the way. I'm a huge Gordon Ramsay truther, in case you didn't know. One of my favorite, the one celebrity I'd actually love to meet at some point. So just putting that out there in the universe. Most celebrities don't really do it for me, don't really care. I would truly love to meet Gordon Ramsay at some point. Huge fan. Anyways, I'd also be a huge fan of a Kitchen Nightmare style show where Joe Flacco just goes around team by team until he's friggin', 50, 55, 60, whatever years old he wants to be, and just saves these random teams that are in quarterback hell, like the Bengals were. Man, think about where the Bengals were 3 freaking weeks ago. Just completely DOA with Jake Browning. Nothing going on there. Now they got Flacco out here just completely dropping heaters all over the place. Next Gen Stats notes, Joe Flacco completed 28 of 37 passes for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns from a clean pocket in this game tonight. It was Flacco's most passing yardage from a clean pocket since Week 4 of 2018. Ironically, also against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So maybe Mike Tomlin was right to be pissed off at Andrew Berry for trading the Bengals, Joe Flacco, not for the reasons maybe he thought, hey, why I wouldn't trade a competitor. Hey, I'm pissed off because I got to face this guy, and he just ripped me to shreds. And the clean pocket stats are interesting because obviously the Bengals offensive line has been problematic so far this year. Not breaking any news there, but they really had a good plan with Flacco. He was in the shotgun on 83% of his dropbacks. He got the ball out in 2.27 seconds, time to throw. Get in the gun and get it out quick. I mean, we'll get to the Steelers defense here in a second. That unit is bad. Both of these defenses were bad. Obviously, these 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks are throwing up 7 combined touchdowns. I don't need to tell you guys that the defenses are not good, but these defenses are not good, including Pittsburgh's. I don't know what the hell they were doing all night, but my God, Joe Flacco just understood the assignment. He's coming into Cincinnati here. The assignment is get the ball out, get it to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Keep these guys happy. To me, it's like you're trading for this guy just so these receivers aren't pissed off the rest of the season. Well, they're more than not pissed off. They're thriving. Jamar Chase is targeted 23 damn times in this football game. 23 targets in this game. That is tied for the 3rd most in a single game of all time. Brandon Marshall, by the way, 28 targets is first. It's a pretty big gap. Brandon Marshall there is the number 1 targeted player in a game of all time. I think I remember that game as well with the Denver Broncos. It was a wild ride. But yeah, anyways, 23 targets for Jamar Chase, 16 catches, 161 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 10 targets. The other targets, 4 for Yoshivas, 4 for Fant, 4 for Chase Brown, -8 yards, by the way. That's a whopping 70+% target share to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's just beautiful stuff. Beautiful freaking stuff there. Yeah. Incredible moment from Joe Flacco, just getting the ball to these guys. That's what this is. You come in here, you get the ball out. And the amount of times that it was just quick game with Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase showed you in this game, all you got to do is go up there. If you get man coverage, and the Steelers are one of the more man coverage heavy teams in the NFL. They're very cover one heavy. They get up on the line of scrimmage in press coverage situations. Sometimes they bail on that, but they get up and they look like they're going to show you press. All you got to do if you're Jamar Chase is come up here and like, all right, what's my leverage? They're showing me outside leverage. I'm running a quick slant. They're showing me inside leverage. I'm running a quick out cut. And it was just pepper. Like where's the I got to see the route chart. I got to see the Next Gen Stats route chart for Jamar Chase. I don't know if we have that, producers, but if we don't, no big deal. But I got to put eyeballs on it, because let me tell you what, that thing's got to just be slant, out all the whole damn game. If you can do that and you're a great receiver against man coverage, like you're gonna have a great game just running those two routes. Absolutely incredible. Again, Joe Flacco just understood the assignment. T. Higgins, like I said, 10 targets as well. It's always going to be a little bit more volatile for T. Higgins because he is the guy that doesn't get as much move around work in this offense. He is mostly outside on the line of scrimmage, gets a lot of targets towards the boundary. But then again, Joe Flacco was totally willing to rifle that ball into tight coverage, including the boundary go route against Jalen Ramsey, who I think I texted Nate like 4 weeks ago and said, hey, have you watched much Jalen Ramsey lately? This guy is getting fried every single week by good receivers. JSN in week 2, whoo boy. Yeah, a lot of big plays allowed by Jalen Ramsey so far. Again, we'll get to the Steelers defense here in just a moment. But the go route touchdown, or not touchdown, the go route final play from T. Higgins there, the final reception. Shout out to T. Higgins for just getting down. Heads up play by him. I don't know how many other wide receivers like slide and give up on that play instead of going to the end zone and set up the game-winning field goal. That was great. Heads up football by T. Higgins. Love to see that. I'm sure if you have T. Higgins in fantasy, you're bent about that. It is what it is. Great football play by T. Higgins there. So it was just a domination in the passing game with these two alpha receivers and a quarterback who somehow at this point in his career still has it. As long as you don't move Joe Flacco off his spot, I mean, he's going to just sit back there in the gun and rip that thing to these all-star receivers, which at the same time, though, this is what Flacco kind of struggled to do in Indianapolis last year. So it's just a great testament to Joe Flacco. We'll see how long it lasts, but right now it's going extremely well. He understands the assignment. Also, I said sit back there in the pocket. I do want to note that Joe Flacco finished this game with 5 rushing attempts for 3 yards, a long run of 12 yards. Before the kneel downs, which he took for multiple negative yardages, in like big time negative yardages, because he was really trying to sit back there and run the clock out. Like he had 2 for 14 at one point, including that 12-yard zone read play, which was just an incredible. I mean, what the hell was that? So, yeah, Eric Edholm had this, former Yahoo colleague. Flacco has kneels of -2, -5, and -4 yards and still had positive rushing yards because of one of the craziest plays I've ever seen, which is Joe Flacco tucking the ball on a zone read in this game. 40-year-old Joe Flacco tucking that ball and running with his zone read. It was great. I mean, so just, again, incredible performance by Flacco. Also have to shout out the Bengals run game, which has been completely like beyond a nothing burger so far this year. 108 yards on 11 carries for Chase Brown, 9.8 yards per pop. I thought I saw some good pull plays in this one, just downhill runs for Chase Brown, and I saw some abysmal play against the run by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, before we go to the Steelers here, just last note on the Bengals. I think that this is, I do think, like, if it forced to say, is this more a sign of encouragement for the Bengals offense than, or a sign of worry and concern for the Steelers defense. I would trend more towards this said a lot more about where the Steelers defense is than where the Bengals offense is going. That being said, I do think there's some staying power to what Joe Flacco did tonight. I think they got a good plan with him. Get the ball out quick, ID the matchups pre-snap, and get it to your playmakers. You can do that. You're maybe not going to score over 30 every single week, but you can survive. Okay, you can survive this stretch. From the Bengals in a real-life perspective, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to survive. I'm a little more skeptical about that than I am about Flacco keeping these guys afloat for fantasy football. I mean, 40-plus attempts every single game, I think that's what we're going to get out of Flacco. And in this system that is very veteran quarterback friendly, right? We talk about this with Joe Burrow. He likes these guys he likes this system because he wants to get in the gun and not turn his back to the defense. And that's why they don't do as much of the cool bells and whistles that everybody loves from all these smart play callers, because they are comfortable allowing, and Joe Burrow wants to play the field general role. Flacco at 40 years old is obviously capable of doing that. So I think there is some staying power here to this. I'm feeling, if I have any Bengals in fantasy football, any Bengals, Chase, Higgins, even Chase Brown, I'm feeling a lot better right now than I certainly was 3 weeks ago and even like 7 days ago. That was a really, really encouraging performance by Flacco. Okay, now we get to the Steelers. Before we talk about the offense, I just got to get this off my chest about the defense. What an embarrassing performance. And the Steelers defense has been on my radar. I don't know if we've talked about it as much on this show. Maybe we have. It's hard to say, but I have been saying this on Football 301 with Nate for the last few weeks. In fact, we just did an episode earlier this week on biggest questions for contenders. And the Steelers was one that we both brought a question for. We didn't know which teams the other was going to bring a question for. He actually brought one about the offense, which we broke down. I said about the defense, is this defense good enough to contend and hang with good teams? My answer to that was I am very, very skeptical. I come out of this game thinking, I don't know about that. I'm actually pretty much like, no, it's not good enough. This tweet from Hayden Winks is interesting. Mike Tomlin's defense, 15th in EPA, despite since the COVID season, which obviously is 2020, despite having TJ Watt and company, and his in-game management continues to be among the very worst in the NFL. At some point, Yeah, I totally echo Hayden's sentiment. I left Tomlin off my top 10 coaches list on Football 301 this offseason. It wasn't just going to, kiss the ring because he has winning seasons. Okay, Tomlin is beyond, like, he's a problem. Some of this stuff is a legitimate problem. The defense, though, the only thing I'd push back on Hayden's sentiment there, TJ Watt and the guys. Yeah, TJ Watt and the guys have been around since 2020. This is an old and slow defense. They're old and slow in critical spots. I know Cam Hayward showed up at big moments late in this game, which was encouraging to see, but he's like 35 plus years old. TJ Watt's in his 30s and not having a good start to the season. Herbig has been better than him straight up this season. So that's obviously problematic. In the secondary, Joey Porter, good player, but dude, Jalen Ramsey, like I said, has been getting fried in man coverage situations by all kinds of receivers. It's not just speed guys. Like, he gave up some plays last year in Miami to speed guys. I remember Brian Thomas Jr. taking him to task very early in his NFL career, maybe actually the week one of his NFL career. But it's not just those guys. It's like the route runners. It's the Jackson Smith and Jigbas that I pointed out. Cooper Kupp even in that game got him a few times against Seattle in week 2. Shoot. This game in particular, it's Jamar Chase, and he's getting him on these quick slants again and again and again. T. Higgins getting over the top of him. Like, it's just that has not been a great acquisition. It's been a bigger name brand, and I know Jalen has had a couple big plays here and there, but by and large, he's been an issue. Darius Slay is an older player. Like, it's just, this is an old and slow defense that has serious problems. So, I don't have to tell you about the communication issues that allowed Jamar Chase to be wide open on the game-winning drive because Patrick Queen can't, like, pick up the motion and where that's going. Queen, I think, has been okay this year, but he's like their leader, the best player right now on the defense. Maybe that's not great because Patrick Queen has usually been like a Robin to somebody else's Batman in his best moments. So this Steelers defense is one we can target in fantasy. Long story short, you want the actionable fantasy takeaway there? That's where I'm at. I knew this was so on my radar about Tomlin. As soon as he came out and had the third quarter post halftime interview, and it says to the reporter, hey, we got to. She asks about the receivers. He says, it doesn't matter. The receivers are inconsequential, paraphrasing, inconsequential if we can just stop the run and not give up plays on 1st and 10. Okay. Well, we watched that first drive. Pittsburgh crowds the line of scrimmage, gets a bunch of guys in the box, and Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase just go to work in the quick game over and over again. Like we said, slant out, a bunch of slants on that particular drive, and they just march right down the field. They only end up getting a field goal. Don't punch it in for a touchdown, but they march right down the field. This is so like we're stuck in the 2000s. We're stuck in the early 2000s. This is not how we're playing defense in the NFL anymore. So very frustrating stuff if you're a Steelers fan from a defensive perspective. And I think for those of us, actual fantasy takeaway, we can target this defense in fantasy. On the offense, though, got to give a huge shout out to Aaron Rodgers. 4 touchdowns in this game. Now, it wasn't a perfect game from him at all, but he was moving around pretty well. He had a lot of time back there because the Bengals pass rush is non-existent. I don't know. I've been in the gym. Maybe I can outrush some of those Bengals pass rushers. No, I can't. I'd get smoked out there, but still. Rodgers, 4 touchdowns in this game, 2 interceptions. Yeah, again, it wasn't a perfect moment, but pushed the ball down the field to DK Metcalf, especially right away, the 39-yard gainer. I thought it was interesting just seeing the tight end usage in this game. Great tweet from Dante Kopp-Flem, NFL Network researcher. The Steelers are the first team in the Super Bowl era to have 3 tight ends, each with 3+ receptions and 1+ touchdown in the same game. JP Acosta of CBS said, oh man, I mean, Arthur Smith ascends to heaven seeing this tweet. And yeah, you got to think that, right? Darnell Washington had a touchdown. Jonnu Smith had the Steelers' first touchdown, I believe, of the game. And then freaking Pat Freiermuth. Well, the Steelers remembered Pat Freiermuth plays for their football team tonight. He had 5 catches for 111 yards. Yeah, where the hell has he been all year? That's a weird one. That has been a sort of a mystifying thing. I know it's because he's not a great blocker, and obviously this team it needs blockers because of the run game, all that stuff. But man, Freiermuth is for a team that is trying to search for wide receiver help at the trade deadline. They just played Freiermuth 57% of his snaps in the slot in this game, and they got an awesome performance out of him. An awesome performance. Where the hell has that been all season? Where the hell has that been all season? I'm confused. 25% of his snaps out wide as well. So I don't know if I'm rushing to pick Pat Freiermuth up after this game off waivers, but he ran around on 60% of the dropbacks. 5.3 yards per route run, made some big plays. Rodgers was hugging him and whispering in his ear late in the game. They should probably keep him out there. I don't know. That one is an interesting one to me and one that is on my radar because, they talked about Roman Wilson trying to get him going. That's not going to happen. These other receivers, it's just like, that's just nothing. So get Pat Freiermuth involved. Have him be your number 2 receiver if you can't make a trade at the deadline. I'm confused as to why that has taken so long. In the backfield, should definitely update this one because interestingly enough, last week it was split in 3. God, I feel like this is going to be a freaking moving target with the Steelers backfield throughout the course of the season. And I don't know if we're going to figure it out, if it's going to be consistent. So Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell and Caleb Johnson split it 3 ways last week. Caleb Johnson, I don't believe, played a snap in this game. Did not record a touch. Don't believe he played a snap in this game. So 61% of the 61.1% of the snaps for Jaylen Warren, 29.6% for Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell had some moments, okay, but Jaylen Warren was the bell cow in this one. 80% of the touches, 84.2% of the rush attempts. And I mean, I don't know about you guys. I thought he looked pretty damn good. 16 carries, 127 yards, 7.9 yards per rush. I know the Bengals stink. I get that, but Jaylen Warren's their best back. We're always hoping Arthur Smith does normal things, and it's always a little weird. But yeah, I'd like to see just let's keep it concentrated to Jaylen Warren there. I think that would be best. I say that as a biased Jaylen Warren fantasy bro in my guillotine league. picked him up off waivers. I'd like help me out tonight. Tell you that. Help me out tonight. So I'd like to continue to see that. But yeah, the Steelers offense, they are what they are. I thought this was a really good performance for them against the Bengals. We'll see if they can do this against some other teams, but that defense is a problem. And if that continues to go that way, I think then we can talk about how some of these Steelers passing game players will come alive, because clearly Rodgers can still spin that damn football. Got to give that guy some credit, man. When he is on, even the Hail Mary, it didn't get there, obviously did not get what they wanted, which was a touchdown, got batted down, but he whipped that thing. He can still throw that football. He can still spin it. So there's at least some intrigue with me on the Steelers offense, but the defense is a huge problem. So, all right, that was a big fat recap for a really fun football game.